'Cause you were my sister, my strength, and my pride. Only God may know why.
Hello, I am Michelle Reynolds, also known as Chelly. I am the founder of Sistering, which is just about women doing life together. Women supporting one another, loving one another, covering one another, just saying, I got your back. That when you see another sister across the room, she automatically should be able to look at you and know that sister has my back. That sister loves me, even though she doesn't know my name. And that's what Sistering is all about. This month, you can see that I have on a breast cancer awareness version of the Sistering shirt. And that's what we are talking about. That is what we are doing today, is informing people about breast cancer, making it real, putting faces with this terrible disease. The reason why I wanted to do this, it was so important to me, is because breast cancer runs in my family. Breast cancer affected my life even before I was born, because my grandmother passed when my father was 19 years old from breast cancer. Back then they knew very little about the disease, so they did not even treat her for breast cancer initially. And then throughout my life, I've had several run-ins with just breast cancer, being affected by breast cancer because of my friends, mothers, and even some of my friends that have dealt with breast cancer. Most recently, a couple years ago, I lost my aunt, who was, I was very, very close with my aunt Pearl, and really enjoyed just going to Ohio, staying with her and my uncle and just listening to her. She was my absolute favorite singer in the world. And we lost her to breast cancer. And then earlier this year, my dad's other sister, his baby sister, my Aunt Mary, we lost her to breast cancer. And they battled several different cancers throughout a 10-year span, but it started as breast cancer. So that's why it's important to me. I also gained a grandmother through Jermaine once we got married. We call her Mama Mama. And you'll see her as well being honored because she's a survivor. So on these t-shirts, you will see it has the initials MPMD, and that is Murtis, Pearline, Mary, and Dorothy. That is my grandmother, my two aunts, and my grandmother-in-law that you all will meet. It's so important to me that you see the faces of breast cancer. It's important that you hear their voices, that you hear their stories. It's important that we stay educated so that maybe we don't have to go down this road. And it's important to give a voice and to honor the lives that are no longer here to even tell their story. So I pray that this blesses you, that you learn something from it, you're encouraged to help another sister along the way. I pray that this is an example of sistering.
I was diagnosed in 2017 at the age of 31 years old.
Okay, I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2002 at the age of 54.
I was diagnosed with breast cancer August 28, 2014. I was 34 years old.
I remember feeling lost and angry, upset, depressed.
I remember feeling scared because all I could think of was my kids and how they was going to take it. Not that I was afraid for me. I just didn't know how they was going to be able to accept it if anything happened to me.
I remember feeling shock, disbelief, just an emotional, it was a very emotional time for me, thinking about my children, my family, and just, it's an overwhelming feeling with that type of diagnosis that young. You never think it would be you at that age. So it was a very difficult, very, very difficult time.
Through this journey, I've learned that I believe everything happened for a reason. I learned to trust in God and not to give up.
Through this journey, I've learned to be grateful for everything. Don't take anything for granted. Just thank God for every day. Whatever you feeling, whatever you going through, it's still thank God. Because, it could have went another way, but I'm here. So I'm thankful.
Through this journey, I've learned to not take for granted one day. I think at times in my life previously, I would, murmur and complain, and I learned the importance of just being thankful for any given day that we have here on earth. And I just learned to rely solely independently on the Lord.
I've been cancer-free since September of 2017.
I've been cancer-free since 2004, as far as breast cancer is concerned. But then 10 years later, in 2012, I was diagnosed with colorectal cancer. And so far, I'm cancer-free. Thank God for that.
I've been cancer-free since January of 2015.
Before I had breast cancer, I really didn't think that much about it. I think I had a niece that had breast cancer. Two nieces, matter of fact, had breast cancer before I did. So I didn't really, they live in Alabama, a good ways from me. So, I didn't really think about it that much until I found out that I had it. And that's when I really started thinking about it.
My initial thoughts on breast cancer were so far from anything that I could identify happening to myself. I had no family history of breast cancer in my family. I had many other medical issues that ran in my family amongst my sister, my mother, and myself as well. So I was very much taken by surprise when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, because it's not something that I would ever think would happen to me.
No, no one in my family had cancer, so it was like surprising. The part that people don't see through the whole experience is, I guess, the way that chemo make you feel. And everything, like just being empty, not having, it seemed like no one understand what you're going through. It's just being empty inside.
I think when you think of someone having breast cancer, you don't see what's really going on. You don't really know how the person is really feeling. And, if you don't just kind of sit down and kind of pull it out of them, because most people just don't volunteer and tell you how they feeling. So if you don't sit down with them and try to just find out what they are going through, you never know what they are going through. So for me, I was scared, I was sick, and I think I was just more scared for my kids, even though all my kids are grown. I just didn't know how they was gonna deal with it, and I think that's pretty much how I was feeling. How they was gonna take care of things and what they was gonna do. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
What many don't see in the struggles of dealing with breast cancer is, so many things. The moments that you have where you find yourself feeling alone, and family's there, everybody's there, flowers and cards come, but when they do stop, and those moments that you are by yourself, and the moment that you finally do visually look in the mirror and look at yourself and see, the scars. Breast cancer is not a condition that is visible to many. It's not an amputated leg or an arm. So it's not something that many see visually on a daily basis. So, you tend to forget. Women do have a prosthesis. It's just not visual like a prosthetic leg or a prosthetic arm. It's actually in your chest. So some tend to forget those days that you're having where you are having muscle spasms, you are having chest tightness, difficulty breathing. These are the things that you wouldn't even know. I myself, prior to having breast cancer, was not even aware of. And it poses daily challenges. People might ask you to lift things, carry things, and they don't realize you have no upper body strength. And these are the things that many don't realize and see about breast cancer. My advice is to really find a network of women that have experienced breast cancer, connecting with them, as well as your local church or your church home, because truly there are going to be moments where all there will be is you and the Lord. So that would be my advice. Furthermore, I just would want to advise all women to take care of yourself. Sometimes as women, we tend to, instinctively we are givers, and we just give, and we don't take care of ourselves. So you have to start there. Take care of yourself. Get your annual women's exams. Get your mammograms. Sometimes we're so busy taking care of everyone else that we don't take care of ourselves. So it starts there, just to take care of yourself.
Yeah, let me just tune in just a little bit with that. Make sure that you get your mammogram and you do your self-breast examination, because I found my lump myself. But the thing that happened, I said, I'll be going to the doctor in 2 months for my physical anyway. I'll just wait until then, instead of calling the doctor then, letting them know that I had found the lump so they could get started then. So there was 2 months that I wasted, precious time, that I should have want to get on. So don't wait. I don't care what you think the reason is. Don't wait. If you think there's anything suspicious, please see your doctor and get it checked.
And I agree to everything. Also, don't ignore pain. Pain is a signal. It's letting you know it's a sign. Just make sure you get your mammograms.
When I found out statistically that 1 in every 8 women will incur some type of breast cancer, that was a huge eye-opener for me. So it made me you look around the room and say, there's more than 8 women here, at least 1 in every 8. So when you look at that, it shouldn't make you feel isolated. And, therefore for myself, I opened up and said, this is common. Unfortunately and sadly, it's very common. So with that, I was able to open up and reach out to, whether it was a relative, a stranger, or a friend, to help me through my journey.
I had my daughter. She was young enough. she was an adult. And thankfully, she had worked at the cancer center. So she had some knowledge of what to expect, so she could kind of guide her, Mama, that you're going to have to go through this, and Mama, you're going to have to do this. And it's always good if you can talk to somebody who kind of know what you're going to go through, and then they can kind of guide you along and tell you, you know, you're going to have to do this, you're going to have to do that, and that helps too.
My mom was there the whole way through everything I've been through. She never experienced anything, so we just kind of experienced it together. But I felt like talking to someone my age was better than talking to someone older, because I mean, younger people don't really experience that and have cancer at a young age, so I feel like it was better.
And piggyback on that, I mean, I would hear a lot of times, oh, but you're so young, and that didn't really make it any better at the time to hear that. But you know, this breast cancer, this disease does not discriminate. It's not age, race. It does not discriminate. And you know, I would advise, you know, if you're not comfortable with your physician's outcomes or opinions or medical solutions, you know, get second opinions. I would definitely request a second opinion. If you're not comfortable with something, if you're not comfortable, just because you're seeing a doctor doesn't mean that's the doctor for you. So I always would recommend, you know, go to someone that you're comfortable with, that can talk to you, and that you can talk to them comfortably with your illness.
What are my children's number? That was all my thought. What was my children's number? And then I went home and went to church because it was Christmas Eve. No New Year's. So I went to church because I had to sing in the choir.
I was hurt. I cried. I know God don't make mistakes, but I kept asking Him why. And I also thought about my kids because I have little kids, like young, and I know they look up to me, so it was hard.
I was scared, but I never cried. I don't know why. And I was scared, but the tears just didn't come. I just didn't get to that point. I don't know. Until I was on getting chemo, and I was so sick, and I remember I stayed balled up in the bed for like months, and that's when I cried. I really felt like this sick as I am, I know I can't do it. And I cried. And now I can cry about it. But it's still.
I think for myself, I was in a bit of shock for quite some time. Just in disbelief. I could have suspected many other illnesses in my family, but not breast cancer, because nobody else had had it in my family. So it was really a shock. And then you go through just the emotional roller coaster of different emotions. You might be angry, you might be sad one day, and you'll go through all of those emotions, and then you'll eventually accept it and, you know, dig deep. And for myself, only God brought me through. Only God brought me through. And, you know, I think, like you said, not crying is something I didn't do either for a while. It wasn't until February of the following year, one day I just broke down crying. And it just finally hit me, all I had gone through. I just now was really dealing with it. So it took months, because you have to be strong for your kids, be strong for your family, and you want to hold that strength up so that they can be strong for you. And so you just muscle up and go through so much, and then one day it will, you know, hits you and you'll cry. And that's when you're really dealing with it.
It's kind of connection there because you know what you went through and you feel like they probably went through some of the same things you did, especially if you had your own kingdom. You know, so it's kind of a connection there. It's like, oh my God, because you were talking to him and things that you went through, and you was like, oh Lord, she had to go through that too. So
There's definitely an instinctive bond. Whenever I've encountered or come across someone that's gone through breast cancer, there's just instantly a bond you could connect with because you know and you can understand. It's not something that anyone can even fathom or even remotely understand that hasn't gone through it. So when you do meet someone, there's just an instant bond that you'll share, and it's because you understand.
I think that's so fun. And it's like we can talk to each other about anything, we can ask questions, and it's a different kind of level, you know, with needed to understand.
This is sisterhood.